is within each one of us, and that's why we're here. You know, there's a reason why there are 7 billion people on the planet right now, more than there's ever been before, and that's because this is a show that's so spectacular. All soul personalities that could possibly squeeze into the audience want to get a front row seat, because this is never going to happen on this planet again, thank goodness. So we all came here for a reason, so we must keep that in mind. This is not an accident. We agreed to be here. We have a purpose to fulfill, and it's maybe different for each one of us, but we cannot cop out on it. Life is very precious, and a lot of people want to be here, and we have a spot that we've taken, and we need to use it to our full capacity. So do not have fear. Do not have doom and gloom. Listen, I know I talk about earthquakes and all these things happening, because they are happening, and we can't run away from what's in front of us, and the world, unfortunately, is not love, light, and peace, not yet. But it could be someday. And so we need to work on our own mind patterns. We have to remember that what we think, we become. I like to use the analogy that thoughts are film, the brain is the projector, and physical reality is the screen. So if we don't like the movie that's playing around us or for us, we need to change the film, which is the way we think. And that's why I like to teach my mind pattern analysis, release work, grow up the child within, do your oversoul communication, do your deprogramming work. All of these things will reintegrate your soul personality so that you can attain the original self that you were supposed to be in your lifetime. And life is eternal. Our bodies are just temporary clothing that we put on from time to time to experience different physical realities for whatever reason that we need. But we are spiritual beings that are having a physical experience, not the other way around.
Right.
That's exactly correct. You can only change yourself, and that's why you're here. And everyone around you is a reflection of you. So you know what? The person that it irritates you the most or that you don't like the most, that's your greatest teacher, because that person is showing you aspects of yourself that need to be corrected. So we need to keep that in mind every time we're out in that world, we hear the news, what's going on. You do not have to participate in that. Change what you think. If you're hearing news, if you're seeing something, reading about something, it's not an accident. It's because there's something within you that is reflecting that, which is why you have to see it or experience it. So look at what that experience represents, what's the symbolism behind it, what's the mind pattern that's projecting that out, and go within yourself and see where you are reflecting that into the world. We, each one of us, each 7 billion pieces of the God mind here are projecting that part of us into this world for these experiences. Doesn't matter how far away from you it is, there's no time and space. So you are responsible for everything that you see and experience around you. And you are also capable of changing that. And that's what we have to remember. Nothing is cast in stone. We can change every single thing. Nothing is a dead end. You can create everything that you want in your life. So I hope that everyone listening out there will take that to heart and realize that change is just a thought away. You can change the way you think instantly and change the world and your life. So when you correct those parts of yourself, you'll only have pleasant and good experiences, and surround yourself with people who are supportive and unconditionally loving.
I noticed something on your website. I didn't get a chance to read it, though. It said Stewart's take on the Pleiadians. Pleiadians, yes.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes a sore topic for some people, because I know a lot of people out there believe that they're here to rescue us or save us. But I can tell you that not all, but much of what's out there that is associated with Pleiadians is really mind control and programming.
Yeah.
And that began way back in the late 1960s when the U.S. government created the New Age for the purpose of establishing what we're going through right now, to change people's mind. And my favorite scene are on the roof and the UFO is above them, and they're waving signs, welcome space brothers, they're ready for the rapture, the doors are opening up, and guess what happens? They're the first ones blasted away. Right? And that was a big message to everybody out there who's expecting space brothers to save you. You can save you. You are your own space brother, okay? And so reach inside your mind and pull out all the good and wonderful God-mind aspects within you and change the world for the better.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? I always tell everybody I made a wrong turn at Saturn and I wound up here by mistake. But the thing is, there is no mistakes. We came here for a reason, and even though it may not be pleasant right now, it's going to be okay in the end. When you really get sick and you feel like you have to throw up, and you don't want to throw up, it's so horrible, and then you throw up and you feel better. So right now the world is throwing up, okay? Human species, we're throwing up all the junk, we're getting it out, and we're going to feel a lot better when it's out and gone, and we clean up our mess.
Yes.
That's right. That's exactly correct. And I do believe, in the very end, everything will turn out okay.
He also teaches people how to heal themselves in positive energy by eliminating the negative. Him and his wife Janet founded the Expansion Publication Company at expansions.com, where they've published countless works, including Decoding Your Life, Hyperspace Helper, The Healer's Handbook, and many, many more. He's lectured at dozens of events, and he'll be speaking this April 29th through May 1st in St. Joseph, Michigan, and June 20th in Geneva, Switzerland. So much more to come, and he's produced so much work. Stuart, it's an honor to have you on the broadcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. I don't even know where to begin. You touch upon so much information. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're speaking on April 29th through May 1st, and then maybe we can get into the Comet Elenin.
Yes, at the end of this month we're doing a seminar called Inner Health, Outer Wealth, where we're actually going to teach people how to fix themselves physically and project that out so that they can attract wealth and abundance. It's going to be quite an amazing weekend.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And I guess let's just jump right to it. The Comet Elenin, everybody's confused. We've done several broadcasts, spoken with Brooks Agnew about it, Jordan Maxwell. What is going on? Is this just a 3-kilometer comet, or is this something much, much bigger, and do we have to worry about it?
Well, yes, I've heard all kinds of things about Elenin for quite a long time now, and as you probably know, it's not going to be in our neighborhood till about September, October of this year. Now, here's the thing. I don't know, many of your listeners may know, for a couple of years now, I've been talking about what's going on out in the Kuiper Belt. And there is an amassing of a fleet of some kind there. In fact, NASA has been reporting, or did report, almost on a daily basis of some kind of new objects that they would detect every day, every other day, and then suddenly they stopped reporting on it. And then they even started recently saying that there's some energy coming from the Kuiper Belt that actually stopped the Pioneer spacecraft and is affecting the Earth in some way. So what I know and what I can tell your listeners is that Elenin is actually a probe from the Kuiper Belt. It is not Nibiru. In fact, I talked about this back in 2003. Nibiru was destroyed by particle beam accelerator back in March of April of 2003. So that's not going to be a factor. Elenin is actually a probe. It is designed to create a fantastic light show in the sky by those who sent it from the Kuiper Belt. It's a very, very long story, but I will tell the listeners it's not going to create massive destruction on the Earth. The Illuminati are doing that on their own. But what Elenin will do will give people a calling card to know that there's others out there watching, and that changes will be coming shortly after that.
That makes sense. Brooks actually pointed that out, that he said he saw a lot of signs of this being artificial, and that kind of raised goosebumps on me anyways. But every time there's an alignment, we get a big earthquake. So do you think that they're just using that coincidentally and using HAARP to create these earthquakes to give the illusion that something's coming back?
Yeah.
Well, they're not doing that because of the Elenin. No, they're doing this because of their agenda for 2012 to make people think that the book of Revelation is coming to life. They want people to read all the chapters and see if there'll be signs in the sky, and there'll be earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and all of that. And so what we're seeing on the earth now are natural events that have been prematurely triggered and enhanced artificially. You know, where there's earthquakes, where there's volcanoes, these are pre-existing conditions that have been activated artificially via HAARP and other methods.
What is your take on Edgar Cayce's maps for the future of America? I know we have a lot of problem with the New Madrid fault line. So do you see that blowing in the future, or in the near future, I should say?
Well, I'm not too far from there. It's already starting to move. In fact, the New Madrid fault line actually, it starts in the St. Lawrence Seaway. There's a St. Lawrence Seaway fault line, and as it crosses down through Ohio and goes in towards Indiana, that's when it becomes the New Madrid fault line, and it goes all the way down into Arkansas, even parts of Louisiana. But what people don't realize is this is actually the edge of a very ancient tectonic plate, which is called a creton, C-R-E-T-O-N, and it actually crosses over through Arkansas into Texas and Oklahoma, and then goes all the way up into South Dakota and beyond. So what we have is kind of a U-shaped kind of tectonic plate, an ancient one from eons ago, when there used to be another borderline there of a continent. And so this now has become activated because of ELF and microwave pulse bombardments at both the North and South Poles that have been going on for quite a few years now. And so this has activated the movement of ancient fault lines of volcanic, what used to be dormant volcanoes, which are now coming back to life. In effect, what you're seeing is the Earth being put into a position of where it was in ancient times, that all being reactivated again.
Well, I hope we do have some intervention here, because it seems like the children don't know how to take care of themselves. That's the only way that I can put it.
Well, they're very naughty children, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes, yes. We see FEMA making preparations with camps and coffins, etc., and it seems to be all up and down the New Madrid fault line. And so before we got this information, we couldn't figure out why they wanted to do this, but now it looks like they're preparing. Would you say that that's the case?
Well, let's take one step back here. Let's remember the end of this month and early next month.
No, that shit happened, and it's not going to happen.
This is the 200th anniversary of the Great Earthquake of New Madrid back in 1811, 1812, when there was a series of quakes from December of 1811 to February of 1812. The first one was 8.2, the next one was 8.1, and the third one was almost 9 on the Richter scale, and was felt all the way from Boston to Denver, and from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to Canada. It was almost the entire United States.
The Mississippi.
So what you're seeing with FEMA, for example, they are recreating what they're calling the Great Central U.S. Shakeout, and they want millions of people to participate in the simulated quake on the anniversary of those tremors. And so they are sending coffins and body bags and all these things to the area for the recreation or the simulation of a possible earthquake. That's what you're seeing. So we shouldn't get freaked out by that right now. But I will tell you that they don't do anything like that unless they know something's going to happen, or they know that they're going to create something that's going to happen. And if we look at what's going on now in Arkansas, where there's been over 1,000 earthquakes in the last few months, and you look at Oklahoma, where there's been earthquakes starting getting higher in intensity and frequency, and even where you are in northern Texas and West Texas, there's been quakes occurring. This is all the activation of that creton, ancient tectonic plate, and so it is activating. But why is this also happening? We have to go to the West Coast, and we see that the subduction zone along California, Oregon, and Washington State has gotten so intensified, it's pushing magma down and east of the fault line and the subduction zone. There is magma